This is Paul Barchenger with Hutchinson Co-op in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and this is the Resistance Fighter Management Minute. Well, not a lot of things have changed here in south central Minnesota. We're still extremely wet. We got in about 3.5 days of planting this week, and now it's raining yet again. Everyone in our trade territory is racing to get the crop in the ground. As of today, May 20th, we have around 30% of the corn planted and about 15% of the soybeans in the ground. We've really been delayed by wet weather. As I mentioned in my blog earlier this month, getting pre-emerged products on soybeans is going to be a challenge. We have corn and beans being planted simultaneously, which stretches everyone's resources very thin. In my case, as an ag retailer, my sprayer operators are also my sprayer operators are also my fertilizer spreader operators. We're busy spreading fertilizer, trying to get the crop in the ground, and know when to get pre's, run my machines to get pre's on these early planted soybeans. And growers too are concentrating on planting, getting the seed in the ground, and not worrying about spraying at this point. Even though we are a good month behind schedule, our weed control plans haven't changed a whole lot yet. 95% of our corn is getting a pre-plant or pre-emerge treatment, which will allow us to time our post-emerge products, primarily Halex GT, properly. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the soybean acres may not get a pre-emerge treatment this season, which means trying to control weeds post-emerge. I'm really counting on Flexstar GT to come through for me this year, as it did last year. We are destroying most of the early weed flush with tillage, being this late in the month of May. Although if we don't get in the field very soon, if we get delayed much longer, this early weed flush could get a little bit too large for even tillage to handle. Products like Sonic Authority First or Prefix, they do provide some burn down activity besides providing us with some residual. It'll be a real balancing act of trying to get these pre's applied before the beans crack the ground and or these early weed arrivals, these early germinating weeds get too large. Primarily our issues in this part of the state are resistant giant ragweed, and that is one weed that likes to germinate early and often. Got a lot of giant ragweed growing already in the fields, grows fast once it gets up to about an inch or two, and once it gets much past that, it gets extremely hard to take out with tillage. And I said early and often, we have adopted a saying here in our country that giant ragweed, you got to spray it early and often, because you got to catch it when it's small, and it's a weed that likes to germinate all year round. Cool conditions, dry conditions, wet conditions, hot conditions, it'll grow in just about any place. And we have quite a flush coming up already. We hope these weeds, again, don't get too large before we get in there with our pre's and can get these things knocked down before the soybeans crack the ground and get some of our pre's on yet. We'll just see how the rest of the season goes here. For the rest of the season, this planting season for us has really turned into a race. We're racing to plant, we're racing to get pre's down, and I think the entire growing season will continue this way right up through harvest. We've got beans planted and being planted at the same time as corn. A lot of the spraying is all going to come at the same time. I think the soybean aphid spraying is going to come about the same time it always does, which is also coincides with fungicide spraying on corn as well. I'm looking for a real challenging season this year just from the late start we've got.